Welcome back to the Always Reading Book Club. It is your girl Kiki Reader, and we are diving back into our second set series by Allie Beck. Now, if you haven't listened to the first book as well as part one of the second book, then those links are going to be available down below for you to get caught up on. So once you finish those reviews, come and join us as we dive into part two of book two, Sweet Strings. We pick up right where we left off. She's gotten that text message. Carter's told her to get over to their home. She's rattled for the rest of the night. And she wakes up the next morning and it really irks her because it's like her space has really been invaded, you know? It's really been invaded. They try to tell her, they've checked the security, like there's no one who has had access to the feed, all this stuff. He's got agents in place that are, are surrounded, checking out her place. And all I can say is, I don't know what kind of agents these are, the Veritas, but they seem to suck. Okay? Because this person continuously is able to get away with things, and they keep having the same answer, lying to you, I feel, saying that, oh, everything's okay. We've done all we could. And then something else pops off. And then they go, how could this happen? Because y'all clearly don't know what you're doing. Did y'all just start this a year ago? Like, what is really going on? But she trusts them and feels like they're, great with their jobs or whatever. I don't know. But I just felt like this is trash. They are trash. So Zeppelin and Sager, are they there? I think they're there too. Because I'm a little confused about whose family is who. Because I knew it was not Zager, I'm combining names. Sager and Zeppelin that were with Casey. But they might have more people. Because there's a Carter and an Olivia, which are the Veritas people, but then they're a part of a relationship. So I don't know if they're all together or not. I got confused. But at this point, I feel like they're all involved in a relationship. I don't know. Because I thought the Olivia woman had like 5 husbands. So that's where I don't know. But they're both clearly in polyamorous relationships. I'm just not 100% sure on who's involved in which relationship. But anyway, Carter tries to again reassure her everything's going to be okay. I've got the agents at your house, all this stuff. And she, of course, is still freaking out, still on high alert, because she's going home and she wants to go and curl up in her own bed. But at the same time, she's terrified because her space, it's been invaded. She gets a message from Asher saying, can I bring breakfast over? And she's like, give us about an hour. We're not at the house. But yeah, once we get there, that's fine. So her and the baby get to the house. Ash is outside, but he's got this strange look on his face. And so he tells her, keep Lyric in the car. And she gets out, and there's a bloody package on her front door. He's like, we'll take her the back way into the house, and then we'll go inspect what's on this, on her in front of her front door. So the baby's eating. They go look at it. It's pictures of her, naked pictures of her. Then there's pictures of Lyric. There's blood on it. It's got a rose that's like smashed up. It's just very disturbing. Okay. And so she texts Carter and is like, he of course is like, I'm on my way. They wind up going across the street to the band house, and Callum had gone for a run, and he, walked in with them, and he tells Rad, I want to say, and Kieran like wakes them up because there's a whole issue going on. And she's getting text messages still. Okay? The stalker's still saying, you're mine, you're mine, you're mine. River West Blue, like you're no one else's. You need to get away from them. And she winds up calling Olivia. Olivia tells her, um, Carter's on his way. I'm sure Olivia's coming too, because that's one of her best friends. And they, of course, are like, the guys eventually went over and they saw what was on the front porch. And so they're now going, okay, what the hell is going on? Like, what is happening? And she knows at this point she's got to tell him, because now it's escalated to the point of no return. And I honestly think once Asher saw it, that kind of was it. Because now you can't put it back into Pandora's box. This crap is out, And she's got to now let them know what has been going on. I mean, now it has escalated at this point. But she's been dealing with this stalker for 3 years, but now that it's gotten to this level, girls got to talk. So River tells the guys the truth about the past 3 years, how it started off. It was just pictures. It wasn't this bad. Olivia was like, no, because again, Olivia's gotten there by now. She's like, no, you tell the truth. This has never been okay. This has always been a problem. We find out the reason they thought everything was fine at her house was because apparently the stalker was able to get into her camera feed and put it on a fucking loop. And so you can't see him. And apparently the security guard didn't see shit. So it's like she got the security company, and I'm just like, what the hell? Because it's like she was proactive, right? When this happened, she got a security company, she did these things, but it's like, it's just not working. And I don't understand how it's not working. That's the part that just baffles me. So Carter says they've got a house in Maine where they can go because there she'll be safe. And she doesn't want to go at first, but then she eventually is willing to do it. Well, then they remembered there's a storm that happened and the security's messed up, so that's not even an option. Well, then Callum says, I've got a house. It's secure. No one knows about it. Guess where his house is? Central City, close to Lakeview, where they're from. So they told her, like, you're not going by yourself. Like, we're going to be there with you. Which I thought was great that they wanted to be there. And honestly, I wouldn't doubt them wanting to be there. They absolutely adore her and that child, So this wasn't a shock for me. And I was like, yeah, they need to go with her, because clearly this person is watching her. They're aware that these people exist. So I feel like you all need to go somewhere, because this person has access, and it seems like Veritas can't help, So they're going to have them leave out at midnight. They're going to have a lookalike for her that's going to go across the street. That'll get the clothes and stuff like that. They won't realize. It'll probably appear like, she's just going to be staying with the guys. So that's what they're going to do. And we will see if that works. But this is really freaking wild. So the house is, again, located near Lakeview in Central City. It's in the suburbs, but it's far back. It's like a fortress. People don't even know really that it's there. And he said it was secure. And the security guy, Jordy, was kind of like, when you said it, you weren't lying. This is a secure place, And so Callum says, he needed to get away from everyone. And, this is where he would come. And it also was a way for him to be close to his family, right? Their cemeteries there. And so it made him feel closer to them. I also believe, he doesn't say this, but this is just my thought process with him. I think it helped him knowing that she was close, because they were still under the impression that she was in Central City. So I feel like that maybe calmed him a little bit too, knowing that River wasn't that far away. Jordy gives them a flip phone. They have a house phone, but they got to give up their cell phones. I think he gave them tablets, but they're all secure. I'm like, I wouldn't even trust it. Because what I have seen is they have failed at every inch. Like, I'm sorry, but they really have. So Callum did a good job because no one knows he owns this place. So that means he probably bought it under different shell stuff. And I was like, that's smart. But he also was getting, people coming up to him. It became a lot for him. And so he definitely would need a place that couldn't be accessed by, paparazzi and fans and stuff like that. So this makes perfect sense. The place has even got a basement, a wine cellar. In the basement, he has all their old instruments so they can practice while they're there. Rad is going to take Lyric down to teach her the drums. Kieran said something feisty to River because Lyric had made this funny comment to Kieran saying, "Daddy, are you still a hoe?" And so he's like, "What? Where do you get that from?" And she's like, "One of my friends at school said that, you always have these different pictures with different women." And she tries to count on her hands. And she's like, "You've had so many. So that makes you a hoe." So River's like, "Hey, if she saw you, she saw you." So, she saw different women on TV, and it was something that River saw as well. So if the baby saw it, ain't nothing she could really say. I thought that was hilarious. So he comes up to River in her ear and says, "I have over 20 NDAs that say I couldn't get my dick up, and the women can't talk about it." He was like, "Even when I hated you, I still couldn't fuck another woman. It only gets hard for you." And she was just like, she had no words. So they're gonna go downstairs with Lyric. Asher's like, "Food, is there food here?" Callum's like, "Yes, fully stocked. Everything's here." Kieran's like, "Well, I'll help Asher get some food together." Callum's going to go downstairs and get her some wine, and she lays her head back, closes her eyes, and she thinks, you know what, this is how it should have always been. Someone to take care of Lyric, two people cooking, someone getting her wine. Our girl River wakes up. She's in bed with Callum and Rad, and she's like, "What the fuck?" Like, she was so tired. They took her to bed. She took some of her clothes off, not all of them though. But she woke up with Callum in her back and Rad in her front, and they told her, how she missed dinner. The baby like tore up Asher's pork chops, and she starts thinking, she was a bad mother because she passed out. And she's like, she should have checked in with her baby to make sure everything was okay, because a little chaos is happening, right? And they're like, "You're a great mom. She's fine." And then Rad starts kissing her neck, and that was it. She was a fucking goner. They didn't fuck, but they like fingered her, made her come, and then Rad jacked off, came on her, was it her stomach? I can't remember. And then Callum came in his pants. But it was a very intimate moment, and some confessions were made. Rad tells her, "I'm sorry, but I was with other women." But she's like, "We weren't together, like, it's okay." She's like, "Do you really think I went 5 years being celibate?" And he was just kind of like, "Even though that rips me apart, that you could be with somebody else, I understand." And she makes the statement to them, "We weren't together, but now we are." And once she says it, she can't take it back. But it's how she feels. You said how you felt. Callum, she asked Callum, if he had been with anyone. She's like, if you had, I'm not mad or anything like that. I'm just asking. And he says, you are my first and my last. That's it. And it made Rad feel bad because it was like he was the only one out there fucking. But here's the thing, you deal with stuff how you deal with it. You know? I mean, you thought you were done wrong in your relationship that you were in, and it messed you up. I mean, that's what happened. So, it is what it is. You weren't with her. But I think because he is crazy about her, this does show a level of devotion. Let's be honest, the fact that these men, like, didn't even want other women because they were so stuck on her. So that does appear as if they feel more for her than he does. And he doesn't like that because he genuinely is crazy about her. He always has been. So I get that, him feeling that way. I get it. But it is what it is. You did what you did. We switch to Kieran's POV, and he sees Rad coming out of River's room as well as Caleb, and they of course have this glow on their faces, and it pisses him off because he wants his chance with her too. So of course he's thinking like, I gotta figure out a way to get back in her good graces. He stayed up with the baby the previous night, him and Asher. And the thing about Lyric is she really does settle him. Like that anger and all that, she really centers him. And, for him, River and the baby, that's it. He needs them both. And he wants to make up for lost time. So when River gets up, Asher makes her some coffee and she calls him my savior. And in Kieran's head, it's kind of like, how can she forgive him that fast? Even though he's forgiven him a lot more as well because he understands why his brother did it. It pisses him off, but he does understand. And he's like, she's made up with Callum, Rad. She seems to be okay with Asher. Like, I got to figure out something. So when Jordy comes over to give them an update, he gives Lyric a tablet to go play in her room. And he tells them that they found where they were able to get a little footage of the person. And it's fuzzy and it jumps, but it's the best they can do. So they're watching it, and Callum knows who the guy is. He's like, it's the Adrian guy, the one that comes to the fights. And she's like, but why would he? He was the one that knocked me down. And then it makes sense. That was when she lost her phone, and she couldn't remember, like, how in the world did she lost it? So either he took it and then pushed her down, or he pushed her down and took it. But that clearly was the reason for doing it. So now it's like, well, why would he be doing this? They know he works for like a crime family. We don't know the name of it. But again, we're like, okay, well, who the freak is he working for? And the past 3 years, he's been watching her. I'm like, is it him? Is it a different person? Again, so many questions. So then after all that, Kieran pulls Jordy aside, and he felt some type of way about the familiarity between River and Jordy. But it's like he gets a little iffy with anybody that seems like they're close to her. Because I think for him, it's like if she's close to them, it was a time that he missed with being close to her. He has this whole thing. So he's just going to be like that. But he did ask him if he could help him do this like really amazing date for River. And so Jordy's like, okay, I'll help. We are still in Kieran's POV. He's going to ask River Blue basically out on a date. And so Asher is going to cook for the guys and for Lyric. And Asher tells him, I won't get in the way of anything. I know what I did, and I'll never have her again. And he understands why his brother feels this way, but it does break his heart for his brother because he knows that it has been ripping him apart all these years. It has. And he realizes more and more Asher is really sorry for what he did. He really felt desperation, and that's what drove it. So Jordy gets all the stuff set up outside on the porch area. She's in this beautiful gown, red gown. He's in this nice fitted tux. They look great. And so she's like, well, what are we doing? And he's like, I wanted to recreate that day when she was eating the ribs and stuff at the picnic, at that little party, the neighborhood get together. And so he got the dishes catered from that place. And she was like, oh my gosh, she ate it. She was so happy. And she started talking about her pregnancy and how, like, this is all Lyric wanted when she was pregnant. And she ate a lot of this type of, uh, what's the word? Home, like that. It's a word for it. I can't think of it right now. But she wanted that, like, good homegrown food, I guess. And so we find out the child's birthday is September 29th, which is coming up. And he's like, oh my gosh, I want to plan something really big for her. Like, she's going to be 5, X, Y, and Z. And so he wants to tell her a few things. And he tells her about Gloria and how he's going to be dealing with her. And River's like, I wouldn't mind punching her in the face. And Kieran really does realize that everything kind of started with the mom putting stuff in the head of Asher, knowing the desperation that he felt and using it against him, you know? And it pushed him more towards doing the wrong thing. And giving the money, giving them the vehicle, allowing them to take that vehicle and stuff like that, she did that so that she could lord that over them, and say, listen, I provided this and this is why you were such a success. But it allows him to truly forgive Asher. Therapy has been really wonderful, and it's forcing them to talk about things and really deal with stuff. And it's helped him with a lot of issues that he was dealing with. And so River and Lyric in his life, of course helped him, but that can't fix everything. You know what I'm saying? There's other things that were broken you gotta fix. So I was like, that's I like that. That works for me. I like it. So she then kisses him, and he had made a comment about the fact that, you know, with him not being able to get his dick up for other women. And she's like, well, it looks like you have no problem now. And so she kept wiggling her ass on his dick. And he's like, you got to stop. If you don't, I'm not going to be able to finish with what I have planned. They go outside. They're sitting there. He sings her a song that he thought of on the airplane. And it was basically him just saying how much, how he fell in love with her and the heartbreak and all this type of little stuff. And how he's just dying to get it all back. Really sweet song. She loved it. She kissed him. He starts playing with her nipples. He winds up fingering her, making her come. She was like, what about you? He's like, this isn't about me. It's just you. I just want to please you. You have to be fully ready to take me back in order for us to do that. There's no pressure on my end. I'll wait as long as you need. If you need a day, if you need a year, or if you need years, whatever you need, I'll wait. And so she's like, oh, okay. So they go in the house. Asher's on the couch with the baby. The baby's asleep. And so River takes the baby, and her and Kieran, they're going to all sleep together in the room. And River takes the child back, and Kieran and Asher have a conversation. And he just kind of lets him know that even it was fucked up what you did, but you were manipulated. And I should have never hit you. Like, violence is never the answer. I was so upset, but that's no excuse. Asher's like, I deserved it. He's like, no, you didn't. They talked about, what would have happened if they would have stayed. And they were like, they probably would have been in jail because the father would have probably elevated them in some high position so they could take the fall. And I'm like, that sounds straight, like something he probably would do. He was so evil to them. If he was doing dirt, they got to have a fall guy. And if you treat your children the way he treated them, like, it's not too far-fetched for me to believe that he would do that to them. You know what I mean? Kieran told him, he loved him. And he's like, we're not where we were before, but we'll get there. And, they both are just really happy to have Lyric and River, and have River back in their lives. And having Lyric in his life has really helped Asher like on a whole new level. It's like bringing him out of the grave that he had put himself in, you know. Again, I feel bad for the guy. Um I do, of course there could have been a different way that he could have went about it, but he has been torturing himself. It's not like he's been a happy person for the past 5 years. He's been miserable, you know. He's been suffering because of this. So, the fact that he's willing to do whatever he can to fix it, he's okay. Poor boy. So then Kieran goes back with the baby and River, and River has on his shirt, and he's like, "How am I supposed to keep my hands off her?" But the baby's there, so they can't do anything anyway. The baby's snoring, and he's like, "Should I tell her she snores?" And River's like, "She'll fight you tooth and nail about it." And he just smiles because it's like his child's stubborn, just like him. Next day, they do band practice. The baby knows all the songs. She got up there, she was singing with Kieran, and she was actually really good. And he's looking at River and he says to her, "When did that happen?" You know? River's like, "She's just a natural." So Jordy comes by to tell them they think they've got the guy, the Adrian dude. They went to his place. It was really messy. He had pictures everywhere of her, her phone, all kind of stuff, and he offed himself. So now they feel, Veritas that at this point she can go back. Well, they're not really in a rush to go back right now. Um, but Jordy told them if they want to leave the night, the PJ would be ready. So they're hanging out, just talking, having a good time, and it just feels just like their conversation when they would go and meet up at Callum's, old home. It was the same thing, just laughing, enjoying one another. So Kieran took Lyric to her room, read her a story. He stayed with her, and the other guys, I want to say maybe Asher was there too. I think they all stayed with her, if I'm not mistaken. Asher and Kieran had a conversation, and he showed the text messages that Gloria had been sending him, asking him for money, and he was telling, how he had spoken with River about everything, and that he was ready to like get her out of his life. You know, she is a cancer, and he's tired of footing her bill. She's never been a good mom. It'd be different if he had like a memory he could hold on to that was decent, but there's none, you know? And Asher lets him know, "I brought her. I'm the reason why she was able to get her hooks into us like this, and so I'm going to help you get rid of her. Not offer, okay, but to get her out of their lives." The next day, her and Asher go to, I don't know if it's Odette's house or Corinne's house. I guess it's their family house. But they take Callum's SUV, Asher drives, and they take Lyric along with them. And it's this really big farmhouse, and it's on a lot of acres. And she remember a story when she was younger, and she was talking with Corinne, and she basically asked her what her dream house would be. And Corinne told her about the home she grew up in with her parents. It was this 2-story farmhouse, and unfortunately, it got taken down. It was knocked down. It wasn't taken, after they left, the house deteriorated, and it got knocked down. And so she built her that type of house, but bigger, which I thought was so sweet. But again, they're her family. Corinne has always been there for her, so of course she would want to like put them up in something beautiful and something that was a real dream. So they get out. Asher's nervous because Odette hasn't seen him since they left. So he's nervous because he doesn't know what she's gonna say and or do. Okay. The baby, of course, is happy to see this side of her family. She hugs Corinne, and then Corinne hugs um, River. She's been going through cancer treatment. She's holding on. She's a tough cookie. So then Odette opens the door and starts crying because she was like, "Am I dreaming?" And she's like, "No, I'm really here." She was ready to cuss out Asher, but Asher winds up sitting on the porch with Corinne, and they have some sweet tea. He looks terrified. So then Odette takes River inside, and they have tequila shots. So the kids go and play because Odette's kids are Annie and, oh gosh, I forget, Annie and something, two A's. So she's playing with her kids. So Odette wants to scoop, tell me everything. So she tells her, and she also talks about her fears, which are, they're in a band. They're going to have to go on tour. What does that mean for us? You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot, and it's no life to bring a kid on the road. That's not a life that she would want for her kid. So Odette's like, at this point, I'm happy you all are back together because you all really are meant to be. You guys just had to go through some things to get to this point. And River had an idea. She's like, how about the guys do a show at the Dead End? And she's like, I'll cover the charge, so don't charge anyone to come, but she'll foot everything. And Odette's like, works for me. So everything she makes is just, it'll be even more profit because, she's already, they're going to sell liquor and things like that and food. So on top of whatever they would have charged, River's going to give her that money. So it's just a plus day all around. So they have a ball walking down memory lane. So River puts up the post on social media saying that, they're going to have this free event at the Dead End. We switched to Asher's POV. He's out there with Corinne, and Corinne had asked him, were you the one that fixed her car? And we remember there was a note on the car that said, stop fucking walking. And I figured it was Asher because the other guys, I felt like they were too heartbroken, but Ash knew what he'd done. And so, come to find out, it was him. He admits to Corinne that it was him that did it. And after they had won the Battle of the Bands, he has like a memory, and he remembers like everyone was so excited, and he went around the corner and cried because he knew what he'd done and that they left her, and it tore him apart. And Corinne just kind of lets him know, she asked, have you apologized? Have you tried to make it right? And he says, yeah, and I'll keep apologizing. I'll keep trying to make it right for the rest of my life. And she just kind of lets him know, baby, people, if they're going to forgive you, they'll forgive you. You just got to give them time. He also could hear the conversation between Odette and River and heard that expressing concern about what if they leave again and go on tour, that's going to be difficult, X, Y, and Z. And Odette had said, you should go with them. You've got the money, River. But here's the thing. River loves her job. She loves doing the work that she's doing. So she doesn't really want to do that. Just be with them and don't, not work, not live out her dream. She's worked her ass off, so no, she don't want to just not do anything. So Asher's hearing this, and he knows he's willing to do the ultimate sacrifice for her and the child. He hopes the other guys are on board too. We don't know what this sacrifice is going to mean. I'm like, oh my gosh, what are they going to do? So they leave from there, and he asked her if it was okay if he introduced her and Lyric to someone. And she's just kind of like, okay, sure. So they stop at a flower shop, get roses, and we find out they were his mom's favorite. They're going to the cemetery. So both of their mothers are in the same cemetery. And when he told her, is it okay? She, of course, was like, absolutely, it's fine, And he told her, if you don't want to do this or if you want to do it with the other guys, you let me know. She's like, no, I want to do this with you. And so they are now headed to the cemetery. They're at the cemetery. The baby was excited to give the flowers, but then she got creeped out because she's like, these people are not alive. Are they zombies? So Red done showed the baby a freaking zombie movie, and she had to tell the baby, no, these aren't zombies. And they were like, we're going to have to talk to Red. So then uh they give, they go to the that just got me. Oh my gosh. So I don't want to say she fully understands, but River has tried to let her know, your grandmother Stella is no longer here. She tells her she's with the man on the moon. She's looking down on you, X, Y, and Z. So she's let her know about death in a way. But that dang Red, he just does not think. What 4-year-old needs to look at a zombie movie? He just wasn't thinking. So anyway, Asher tells her the story of the mom. He doesn't really say, that she offed herself when he's describing the woman to Lyric and stuff like that. She really was a sweet woman. She made pancakes for him every morning. So now we know where he gets that from. We get another bombshell, and we find out she didn't have the money to bury her mother, but she was able to do it because someone had made a donation. And as she's thinking back on that memory, she goes, it was you, wasn't it? And he was like, yeah, it was me. And then he also told her about it was him with the car too. And she was just kind of like, well, why would you do all of that after what you did? And he said, because I wanted to try and make it easier for you the best way I could. I knew I had messed up, and it ate away at me. And so she then looks at him. She looks up, and all the guys are coming. So he had texted them to come and to be there for her. And it was really beautiful because, unfortunately, before they weren't there for her. And this moment they were, and she did need all of them. So it was really sweet. They talked about the mom and how nice she was to them and all this type of stuff. Then they wanted to go for dinner. The baby wanted pizza. So they went to like this place called Tuscany. And what happens? River goes up to Asher to let him know, I've forgiven you. He, of course, is like, I don't deserve it. And she's like, everyone deserves it. You're forgiven. But you need to work on forgiving yourself. She lets him know, I don't want to live in the past. She turns to the other guys and lets them know, I forgive all of you. I want to move forward. So she tells Lyric she's going to be staying out all night. Alma and Annie, those are Odette's children's names. So Odette's kids, Corinne's going to watch them. And Lyric's going to go over there with them while she's out at the dead end. So they're all excited because this is their old stomping grounds. So they're excited to be performing at the old club. They're at the dead end. Leon brings out some nachos, which is like double cheese. They're like River's favorite. The guys come up one by one, eating off her plate. It's a mess. She hears Tessa's voice, so she knows that hoe is in the building. Tessa the bitch. It's a packed house, and she is thinking about a lot of stuff. She's getting horny. She's having tequila, and they're saying all these things to her. Rat, of course, is like, I want to marry you and all this stuff. And it's cute because it's how they were before with her. So it's super cute. So she's having her tequila, getting drunker, but she's happy. She gets called on the stage by the guys, and they made the announcement that they wanted to know to the world let the world know how they had fucked up 5 years ago and she was their girl. They had a family with her, a daughter, and that, it's just going to be her and them. And they had a song they'd been working on, and they sung a little bit. She had tears in her eyes because it was like they were letting the world know, like, they're serious, like they're all in. I was wondering what Asher was up to, so now we kind of know. So after that, she gets off stage. Guess who she runs into? Donovan freaking Drake. She says, "What are you doing here?" And he says, "Oh, he came in town because his mom was sick, and he saw online where they were going to be performing, so we stopped by." She's like, "Okay." And he apologizes to her for being a chump and a creep back in the day, and she's kind of like, "Okay, great," walks off. He's just standing there looking at the guys, but he's not moving. Like, why would you come to a show and then just stare at them? And he made the comment to her, "I didn't expect to see you here. Why would you not? You should know nothing about what I got going on." You see what I'm saying? So something's off. I don't think they got the guy. I'm going to make that declaration. I don't think they did. Because this is suspicious behavior to me in regards to Van. Just, I don't trust it. Not at all. He also called her Miss California. Um, yeah, something's off. So, anyway, she decides she's ready to get her some good after they leave here tonight. She's drunk, they're in the car, and they're on their way back to Callum's house. She's got the window open. She's putting her hand out the window, touching the rain or letting the rain fall on her. Then she talks about dancing in the rain, asking them if they've ever done it. Then she winds up dancing in the rain when she gets out. Like, they all bow down to her, telling her she's their queen. They'll do anything for her. She's their world. And then they're like, "Let's get out of here, dry you off, get you cleaned up, and then get you wet again." And then they take her inside. They go inside. She winds up fucking Callum first, then Kieran. Girls wore out at this point, but it's like 2 dicks down, two more to go. And she's like, she can't take 4 dicks the way she could when she was 19. And so, then Rad wants to eat her pussy with their cum that's inside of her. I've got thoughts about that. I'm thinking he probably messed with both. I think he might like both. He might just be that could be his level of freak. I don't know. Then again, they all fuck together, so they feel close. I don't know. I don't know. So she comes. Then Asher was gonna let her like jerk him off, but she was like, "No, I want you to come down my throat." So that's what he does. Um, at this point, she's wiped. They give her a shower. They get her something to eat, and then they go to sleep. The next day, they go and pick up Lyric. They're headed back to California. They're now fully in this new relationship, but gotta remember they still have lives, right? So we gotta see how this is gonna work out because they all can't fit in her house. Like, she doesn't have a huge home. She got a nice place for her and Lyric to be on the beach. So this is gonna be a little something. We're talking about now 6 people. Wait a minute, hold on. Yeah, 6 people now are a part of this relationship. So they got some logistics to work out when they get back. So they get back. They are, trying to get back in the swing of things. Ash comes over to the house, brings the baby a donut. Lyric does the whole, "I feel sick." She doesn't want to go to school, but eventually, of course, they get her to go. And then River, he gives her coffee. She talks with Sager and Zeppelin, and we find out that apparently she's at the office now, by the way. I'm sorry. And we find out that Kate has called out. She's been under the weather past couple of days. So River goes to her office and she shoots Kate a text saying, "Hey, I heard you under the weather. I hope everything's okay." Kate writes back, "I'm okay. Now my boyfriend Trevor, he left and didn't tell me, and I hadn't heard from him in a couple days. He said he went to visit his sick mother and he turned his phone off and I couldn't reach him." And I'm going, I fucking knew it. I was like, it's Van. This is Van. It's gotta be fucking Van. There's no way this is a coincidence. There's no way. So anyway, River just thought it was strange. Like, I mean, that's crazy. That's supposed to be your man, but then he doesn't say anything, but okay. So then Asher comes in her office for lunch and she decides she needs the old Asher bag. She needs both sides of him, that dominating part of Asher and this Asher 2.0. So she tells him to fuck her. And she's like, I need to be fucked. She doesn't hold back. She tells him, don't hold back on me. Whatever you want from me, you take it. And so he snatches off her panties, uses them as a gad, and fucks her hard on the desk. And he tells her, thank you for bringing him back. He's like, and always keep me in check. And she's like, I will. And he stays with her for the rest of the day. He will not leave, which makes sense, because y'all saying y'all caught the right person, but I'm sorry, that Veritas, they haven't been the most reliable. So it makes sense. We switch to Callum's POV and we find out that the uh publicist, the public hasn't been too excited about their big announcement. He doesn't care, um poly relationships, can, probably considered not the norm, and so people have feelings about it, but again, for him, he doesn't care. um Lyric and River are his life as well as the guys, so it's just that. So he's taking Lyric and River to the library for a reading of one of Lyric's favorite books, and so when he gets in, someone recognizes him, and they're doing the whole, oh my god, it's Callum, will you, can I get an autograph? So this is another reason why he's not too crazy about this part anymore. The whole giving autographs and stuff like that. He's not a big fan of it. And everything is heightened now, right? You've got the two most important people with you, and you have strangers walking up to you now. It takes on a different situation, it's a different meaning for you, right? And if you were annoyed before, it's gonna annoy you even more so. But he was still pleasant, he was still nice. But then the bitch says something that pisses him off. She says, whenever you get tired of sharing, come find me. And she says, only whores share. Well, that pisses him off. He rips up her autograph, lets her know it will only ever be River, and walks off. The baby winds up falling asleep not too long after they started reading the book. And so River had hinted at him before about being able to sneak off and have a quick fuck in the library. And he thinks, like, damn, he should have brought Rad along so he could have watched Lyric, and then he could have went and got his quickie with River. So anyway, they're leaving now. There's press outside. Then the guy from the fight club, that's what we're gonna call it. The guy's name's Ruthless, who coordinates the fights, comes up to him and he's like, hey, the crowd misses you and all this type of stuff, because he quit cold turkey. When River told him that it bothers Lyric seeing you with bruises, that's all it took. He stopped. And it's like, of course they want him back. He was the rock star. He made a lot of money off of him, I'm quite sure, you know. So the guy just kind of tells him, if you ever need to work out anything, you know where to find us. So they leave, they get home, he puts Lyric to bed. She wakes up when he's about to leave and she's like, Daddy, don't leave. She said the monsters are back. They're tap, 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 is what she hears. He tells her, it's okay, I'll protect you from the monsters. It'll be all right. So he's like, we'll be close by. So she drifts back to sleep. He goes in there to River. She's already naked. He starts fingering her. He winds up licking her fingers, eating her pussy. And then they have a nice hard fuck. And then Rad comes in because he missed them. And he'd made a key. And she's like, that's creepy. He's like, no, it's not. What if you needed me and I couldn't get inside? So I'm like, whatever. So his thing was, he had an idea for Lyric's birthday that's coming up. He wants to rent out a theme park or amusement park, and it's got like this unicorn ride, which she loves unicorns. And she's like, okay, we'll talk about it later. I'm tired right now. We switch to Kieran's POV. It's the next day, and Rad comes in and he tells the guys he's got a great idea for Lyric's birthday party. He tells them he made he made this comment basically about missing the all the other birthdays and stuff like that. Asher faces drops because he's got guilt. You know, it's gonna take a long. I don't know if he'll ever fully feel absolved of it. I just don't think he can. You know, he really feels awful about what he did, and so Kieran's just like, we'll work through that shit in therapy, but what's the idea? You know, so he tells them his idea. They all love it. They were like, finally, you really do have a good idea. So then they hear a knock on the door. He's thinking, he goes back to the date he officially met Lyric, her knocking on the door crying, thinking her mom was dead. And sure enough, it's Lyric, but she's like, I want to do a sleepover. They're down for it. River pops up. She's like, she was determined. She just kind of said this was happening. So they're like, okay, this works for us. So River was like, all right, I'll have a date with myself, go back home. They, of course, would like for River to stay, but she's like, no, you guys enjoy your time with her. So they, of course, feed her whatever she wants. She gets sick. She's throwing up everywhere, so they get her cleaned up. Then Kieran gives her a bath, and while she's in the bath, she said, Daddy, why didn't you want me before? Crushed the shit out of him to hear that. He's like, I always wanted you. He said, I didn't know about you, you know? And she's like, okay. And so after that, he's like, show me your favorite show on your tablet. She does. They get in bed. She shows him her tablet. She goes to sleep. He drifts off, and when he wakes up, there's an adult body that's next to him. It's River. She's like, she went with Asher. She's playing musical beds tonight, and she'll eventually come back here. He, of course, is happy to have her there, and he tells her, that. What did she say? She said she heard tapping on the window and it freaked her out, and that's why she came over. He's like, you don't have to be embarrassed about that. Like, we're here for you no matter what. Then, of course, he proceeds to um, play with her. She begs him to fuck her because he was like, no, I said that so wrong. He begged her to fuck him because she had said to him, beg me. And so that's what he did. And then, sure enough, they had a nice hard fuck. And then she takes a shower. They fuck 3 more times in the shower. They go back to sleep. And the next day, he's actually going to take the baby out for some shopping and stuff. And he had asked her if it was okay. And she's like, she's your daughter too. You don't have to ask. Kieran takes the baby to the ice cream shop. He gets the unicorn ice cream, which is what she wanted. He can tell people are noticing him. That's a part of fame. Then he gets 2 ice creams with 3 scoops. It was like almost $50. And he kind of looked at the woman like, what? Even though he's rich, he has a flashback of when he was coming up and they didn't have enough. Like, once his father left, they were constantly going without the necessities. Thankfully, in the winter, where they lived, they can't turn off your heat because you'll die. Summer, they were screwed. So the mom would try and come up with some money, and his mama, she used to sell pussy. So she never got, I don't think she ever really had a job, to be honest. So she was able to get them on housing. That's when they moved to where the complex where River lived, and where they were able to get help from local places with like all the necessities. So they never had those issues again as far as the bare necessities having them. But he still has a tight hold on his money, which is understandable. I get that. You can be rich, but that don't mean like you want to be oblivious to the fact that this shit can't just go away. You know what I mean? So he gives the woman his card, fucking declines. He's like, how the hell? Thankfully, he spread his money all out over his millions over multiple accounts, not just in one place. Uses another card. Woman tells him, we'll bring it out. We'll bring it to you. Someone comes up for an autograph, and he gives the autograph. He takes the ice cream. Actually, it tastes pretty good. Lyric's like, I told you. So then he messages his financial advisor that, my card got declined. And he's like, let me look into it. I'll get back to you. So the guy calls him. He steps away, and the financial advisor tells him there's some fraudulent activity going on your card. So it looks like someone's been making charges all over town, a lot of female clothing stores, and apparently just at a place called Florence, they tried to spend about 20 grand. He's like, who in the hell? Then he realizes he had an extra card that was in his wallet. He would give to his mom sometimes when she needed certain stuff. That card's gone. So when the mom was texting him about, oh, I need this and oh, I need that, she really doesn't need stuff. She wants things. And he realizes that she stole his card. He gets a call from the store, Florence's, and they're like, hey, we have someone saying they're your mother. And she's saying she has access to your card. He's like, she does not. He was like, but keep her there. I'm coming. I want to talk to her before you arrest her. So then he messages Asher, and he says it's time to enact the plan to save Cammy. So apparently Gloria didn't keep him from beating up on that child either. She was experiencing the abuse as well. I thought they was keeping that at bay, but apparently she wasn't. So nobody was safe in that house. He tells Lyric, they'll come back for the ice cream. And he feels a conundrum of, I don't really want to expose my child to this woman, but I also would love for her to see who she's missing out on having a relationship with, because she's an amazing little girl. Um, Asher had said, he'll come, he's on his way, but he's gonna call the lawyer and have them get her evicted out of the penthouse. Like they're meaning business. And they're also gonna try and get custody of Cammy now, because um they, how do I say it? They've always loved their little sister. They of course wanted a better situation. They were happy with her being at this kind of like boarding school, because it kept the mother from being an influence on this child, because she seemed like a really good kid from what we read in the previous books. So she seemed like a good kid, and so the mother's awful. She's awful. That's just the truth. So he's also been thinking about pulling back on doing like tours and stuff like that, and doing just like local gigs, because when the girl had asked him for the autograph, she's like, when are you guys going to tour? And he didn't say anything, but what he did tell her was that, in about 2 weeks, he said we're taking a break, and he said in 2 weeks we're going to do a show at the KC Club. Kieran takes the baby to the Florence shop. Thankfully, Asher gets there. He's able to take the baby. Kieran goes in to talk to his mom. The manager of Florence is like, we caught her putting these $20,000 earrings in her purse. And he says, let me have a talk with her. So, of course, she's doing the whole, while they've got her handcuffed, she's trying to do the crying bit. And, it was just a misunderstanding. They're just trying to frame me. Could you just pay this for this stuff? Just all this blah, 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 blah. He tells her, I ain't paying for nothing. He's like, you have stolen over $50,000 of things that you have been charging. And on top of it, you've now thrown $20,000 earrings in your purse, because you knew that if you got in trouble, I would bail you out, which is what I always do. And then he rips into her. A lot of truths come out. We find out that she was the one that set up Nigel and his business partner. So, this is what happened. She was having an affair with the business partner, and they were going to set it up to look, well, they did. They set it up to look like Nigel was skimming money off the top. So, he was going to get thrown in jail, and then she was going to elope with, divorce old dude, Nigel, and then she was going to marry the business partner. But couple things happened. The assets got frozen, and then the portion of the money that the business partner took, honey, he left. So I guess I was thinking that possibly Nigel was trying to set up the boys, like get them involved in this freaking business so that he could in turn have them be the fall guy. But this sounds like he wasn't doing anything illegal. He got set up. So I was like, oh, I am very shocked. I did not see that coming. So she confesses to this information while she's trying to let him know, like, I've done everything for you, everything I've done. I've always had to look out for myself and all this type of stuff. So as she's doing that, she's telling, she's spilling her, she's telling on herself about her other crimes. She even made a comment about, she's always, getting left alone and this and that. But you do people dirty, you know? And then it's like you want people to treat you correctly, but you can treat them like shit. No, that's not how it works. He also lets her know not to worry about Cammy because she thought she was going to throw Cammy in his face and be like, you'll never see Cammy again. That's what she says to him. And he says, oh, don't worry about that. He's like, because we're going to get full custody of her. Your penthouse is gone and you're going to jail. That's it. And he was like, good riddance, never want to see you again. And he also did tell her that the baby was his, that he kept, from him, that it was actually his kid. So, which she actually knew because when Asher originally approached her to find out about the restraining orders and everything, he did say that she was like a piss poor grandmother. So she already knew that. But anyway, he walks out and it upsets him that it still bothers him. It's like she's never been a good mother and yet it still bothers me. And so Asher tells him it's the same with me and my dad. He's still my dad. So it still gets to me, And he also let him know the lawyer's saying we've got a pretty great shot of getting Cammy. We have proof that all these years we've been taking care of her. We're both financially stable. Like, we can do it, So that's a good thing because the lawyer said unless like someone else comes to take her, this is the only option would be her brothers. So I think that's great. So then they go ahead and they head out. We switch to River's POV. They're at a party and everyone, well, it's the party, Lyric's party, by the way. Everyone's having a great time. All of her siblings, well, most of her siblings came. So she's got a total of 14 siblings. They have a group chat that they started. Not everyone is in that group chat. So again, that's why I say not everyone showed up, but a good chunk of them did. She's got a couple of them that are in a mafia family. She doesn't ask questions. That's their shit. It is what it is. It seems like a lot of them are into polyamorous relationships. I don't think I've seen one or read one that wasn't in a polyamorous relationship. Her sister Journey, she's pregnant and they've been close for about she met her 2 years ago and they've been close. So they have a really great bond. And she's got 3 husbands. Yeah. The Veritas is walking around because, I guess security alert. They still want to be walking around, I guess. But hobby ever. I have no faith in them at all. So then Kat, her assistant, brings out the cake and Rocco's there. And So Rocco and Christian would like to make Kate or Kat. It's either Kate or Kat, I can't remember. But they want to make her like their third in their relationship. So I'm like, okay. But that's what they want to do. But, she's in this relationship. But that's their goal with her. So whenever she needs anything, they're always there for her because they want to prove to her that she should be with them. So, shocking news, Trevor is going to show up today. So no one's seen him. There's always some excuse as to why he can't show up to a function, but today he's going to be there. So then Kieran, Rad, and River, they're going to go into like this weird fun house, and there's a secret closet in there. Rad and River go in, and they wind up having a quick fuck. And Kieran can hear them, and he's like, "Where the fuck are you guys?" So eventually they come out. And then when they walk out, Olivia's got like tears in her eyes, and she's like, "We can't find Lyric." Of course, panic sets in, right? Everyone's panicking. Olivia's sending everyone to different locations to start looking for the baby. Um, River remembers that first ride she ever took her on. It was like this unicorn thing. This operator guy was sitting there, and she holds up a picture of Lyric. She's like, "Have you seen her?" And the guy says, "Yeah, I saw her with some guy with a red hoodie." Well, it's like hot as fuck outside, so it's like, who the hell would have on a hoodie? So then Asher's with River. They look up and they see um it's not a huge space, but they see a red hoodie and they see like a sparkly something, and they know that that's that baby up there. So then Asher calls Olivia, but he leaves the phone just going, right? And they get to where the person with the red hoodie is, and she can hear Lyric saying, "I want my mommy, I want my mommy." And the guy's like, right on time, because he can hear River and Asher kind of trying to whisper. And so at first she couldn't make out the voice, but long behold, turns around. Yes, it is fucking Donovan Drake. I'm like, this son of a bitch. So she's looking like, what the hell? Like, what is going on? He's like, "I told you you were fucking mine. I told you that." He sees Asher. It pisses him off. He's yelling at Asher. He's like, "Asher, you told me I could have her." Asher's like, "I did not tell you that. I said if we leave, if we take ourselves out the picture, she might come to you. So be ready. That's what I told you." So River's looking at Lyric, and she sees her child just retreating into herself. She's terrified. She's going to go in and she's not going to be able to come out. And so she's thinking, I have got to get my baby out of here. So Donovan's all like, "We're going to be a family. That's how it was always supposed to be from the beginning. All this bullshit." And so the baby, of course, is still screaming, "I want my mommy. I want my mommy." And he's like, "Shut up," and all this type of crap. So then we see he's got a damn gun. He's got the gun to the baby. And I'm just like, what makes you think? But this is where we have the level of crazy. Because what would make you think that I want you and you got a gun to my baby? I'm just saying. If you were trying to win her over, why would you do that of all things? That is the one person in this world she loves more than anybody. You don't even have enough fucking sense to fake that you give a shit about this little girl. That's how just crazy. So River's thinking like, I gotta get him to focus on me because I cannot let him hurt my baby. If he hurts my baby, I'm not going to survive it. So then I think the baby kind of pulled away or something, and some kind of way, it switched to where she kind of she put herself in harm's way so that he could take her, and told a baby to run. Well, unfortunately, the child doesn't listen, and she's in shock. I'm not gonna knock the baby too bad. She's in shock. She just turned 5. Okay. And the dude pulls the gun ready to shoot the baby, and Asher jumps in the way, and he winds up shooting Asher a couple times. Lyric screams and freezes, she's yelling daddy, and I'm just like, God dang it, Polo girl. Like, and she's like, why did you do that? Like, I came to you, like, what? Like, stop. You know what I mean? And so she's trying to tell Lyric, run, go get help, go get help. But Lyric doesn't want to leave Asher. And it's like, oh my gosh. And she's looking at Asher. Asher's looking lifeless. So Asher might be dead. I'm like, oh Lord. So then the psychopath is like, you know, he said to her, what did he say? He said so much crap. He was like, we could have ran away. It could have been you, me, and the baby. She's trying to keep him talking, right? Because the more time he's talking, the more opportunity they have for someone to find them and take him out. So all the bullshit comes out. So I'm going to tell it in the kind of the order. No, I'm not going to tell it in the order that he said it. It was just so much stuff. Oh my gosh. So remember how the Veritas had said they're showing that he's in Europe the past 3 years prior to like these maybe 6 months? He was in Europe. That was him. But he was over there learning how to hack. Adrian is his cousin. So he had Adrian getting photos, taking the pictures, following her. He had Adrian doing that shit. Okay? Then we find out, we go back a little further to when she was 15. And remember when she came to and she saw Bradley, like she remembers Bradley being on her? Well, come to find out, she didn't get drunk because she thought she had maybe drank too many beers. Nope, not what happened. This bitch has been obsessed with her since forever. And she never looked at him. And he wanted to be seen. And so he put something in her drink. And that's why she was knocked out. And he RAPED'd her. And he's the one that took her virginity. That way. And he's just always been consumed with her. I was just like, oh my gosh. And she's sitting there just floored. So what happened was the pictures, the past like few, well, I guess over 6 months or something, they weren't enough anymore. So that's when he came to East Point and got involved with the person that was around her the most. Who is that? Her fucking assistant. So he became Trevor for her, made her fall in love. He tells her, she would tell me stories about you and all types of things, and I would fuck her, but I would be thinking about you. The videos that he took of her, he's like, I would jack myself off every night to him. Just pure obsession. He was like, everything was going to plan, and then they came back in the picture, and that's what messed up everything. And he's just determined that they're going to be together. So he made it appear as if it was self-inflicted when Adrian, like, they made it seem like that Adrian offed himself, but he was the one that did it because he needed a fall guy. So he saw that they were closing in, so he needed someone that they would pin everything on so he could continue with his plan. I was just like, oh my gosh. Finally the little girl, she did run out, and he was just like, we'll just have more children. That's what he said to her. We'll just have more kids. Because he realizes this kid isn't going to want him around, So we'll just have other kids. He hit a button. They hear something explodes. I'm like, what the freak? He's got his whole plan to get her the hell up out of here. And so since she wasn't going willingly, he like stuck a syringe, I want to say in her neck or something near her face. He stuck a syringe in her, and she's trying to fight him, and she does get control of the gun, but when she shoots, she doesn't know like what the fuck, like if she hit him, like what's happening, because everything is starting to go black. And he's just like, I have a home for us. We're going to this new home, and everything goes black. So as River's coming to, it's super dark. She's hearing Van's voice saying, "We're home now." And she's like, "Oh no, he got me. He got me." But then she starts hearing Rad's voice saying, "Pretty girl, what's happening? I need you to wake up. I need you to wake up, pretty girl. You're just having a nightmare." So finally, she's able to come to, and she sees that she's in a hospital, and we get what went down. So when she shot, she missed. But thankfully, Olivia was coming through. She had shot him, but Jordy actually wound up shooting him in his dick. That stopped him, because even after the shot that Olivia did, he still was trying to drag River out of there, out of this emergency exit door. Absolutely insane. So he is in the Veritas prison that they have. They don't do trials, anything like that. I don't feel secure about this. Okay, he's supposed to be there for life, but I'm like, he's bound to escape. I don't trust them. He's eluded them so many times that they should have caught. They're supposed to be better than the FBI, you know? So it's like, if y'all couldn't handle that, how the hell are y'all really gonna handle someone in your prison? I don't trust it. I don't. So when we heard the explosion, what it was is he blew up Olivia's car, and that was supposed to, and it worked, push everyone's attention to the outside of the theme park, which is what happened. It was a great distraction. And again, I don't feel secure for her with these people. So anyway, Asher is not dead. I was so happy. He's gonna be okay. He got shot, I think, in his leg and somewhere else, but he wasn't fatally shot anywhere. um Lyric's been with him since he got out of surgery, and Kieran called an emergency therapist session after everything happened, because River's been out for like 12 hours. And so the therapist, of course, is like, we want to continue to see her. I mean, that little girl went through something freaking traumatic as hell. So Asher wants to see her. And so Olivia, of course, was like, you better get in there, because he wants to make sure you're doing okay. And she's like, okay, no problem. And when they got to Trevor's, well, it's not Trevor, it's Van. When they got to Van's place, they saw all of the stuff that he had done, and all the stuff, like how he had been watching her. It's just something beyond obsession. But you know what kind of strikes me weird is that is obsessed as he was with her, I would have thought he would have like taken out the dad, because the dad made him break up with her. You know what I mean? Like, you were trying to like take out these guys because they were like standing between you and her. But why not your dad? Like, he was trying to keep you away from her. I would have thought he would have turned on him, but I guess it was just for who she was in love with that enraged him. Oh, I did forget to mention, he even admitted to that whole setup outside of the dead end, where he had paid basically Bradley to like try and assault her, and then he was going to come in and save the day. He admitted to her that of that as well. Yeah, just a whole mess. So then we switch to Asher's POV. He's been out of the hospital for a few days. River checks on him constantly. The guys are there for him constantly. He's come to a decision that he wants to talk over with the guys. He tells them, "I quit." They're like, "You quit what?" He says, "The band. I don't want to do it. I don't want to leave River or Lyric anymore." Kieran was like, he had gotten a message saying that another company was going to offer them like $100 million like over a 5 year period. And Karen was like, he didn't want to do it either. You know, he's like, that's wild. We were thinking the same thing. Like, they want to make the ultimate sacrifice for her because they're not going without them again. They're like, we can always play locally. Um, Asher's like, we can always rent a studio, and create music, and maybe like once a year do like a really big event at a stadium. He's like, but that traveling and stuff like that, it's not gonna work. None of them are okay with being away from Lyric and River, and so they're going to have a conversation with Sager and Zeppelin. They're not going to tell River about it because they know she's going to try and talk him out of it. So she comes downstairs and she's got bags under her eyes. She's not sleeping well. She has been like bed hopping, trying to get like sleeping in each person's bed, trying to like go to sleep. It's not helping. Um, she's gonna see a therapist because she needs to at this point because and I get it. That's a hell of a trauma to go through. Like, how could you ever feel confident that it's okay to close your eyes? You know? Mm-mm. But they want to do it with the both of them together, Lyric and River, because again, they went through that traumatic event together. They need to be able to talk about that together. I just feel so bad for them because that's awful. So anyway, they make her breakfast, the baby pancakes and stuff. She doesn't want to go to school at first, and then of course they take her, and they're gonna meet with the West brothers after River leaves. We switch back to River's POV, and she's terrified to go in her house. Totally understandable. I get it. So when she walks in and the alarm goes off, she has to put in the code, and then she looks across the street and she sees there's moving vans, and she gets pissed because it looks like they're leaving her again. So she calls Sager. He tells her the guys have something to tell her. Eventually, she gets to the office. She sees the guys in the conference room, and after some back and forth from her brother, she finally goes into them, and they tell her that they're, what's happening. But before they could get it out, she's like, you're leaving for another record company, aren't you? And so they tell her there was an offer, but she's their dream. Because she's like, you can't give up your dreams for me. She's like, no, you are. You're our dream. They want a life with her. And so as they leave out, she was like, were you guys serious about the marriage proposal? And they were like, yes. And so she's like, I'll marry you all. So we fast forward 6 months. This is her wedding day. Everyone's there. We get a little update on everybody. Camille is still going to school at like the boarding school, but she's going to spend her summers at the house that they're building, which isn't that far from her current house. Because again, her dream is to have that beach home, and so it's going to be 6 bedrooms, really large, and Rad and Callum are scouting for West Records. They don't go any further than 50 miles away from East Point. They're doing really well. Kieran has been operating as her assistant since Kat hasn't really been able to come back just yet. She's still really fucked up over what happened because she was in love with Trevor, and she has been very thrilled. But she apparently has been with Rocco and Christian, and I'm like, they were already trying to get her into the fold. I'm quite sure she's going to wind up being their third partner. Asher is a stay-at-home dad. Like, he cooks, clean, takes care of everything, picks up Lyric, drops her off, everything. That's what he loves. We also find out that River is about 7 weeks pregnant. The only person that knows is Kieran and then a couple of her friends. She wants to tell the guys it's a surprise after the wedding. The only reason why Kieran knows is because he has no boundaries. So when she was peeing on the stick, he walked in the bathroom. So that's how he freaking knows. And he was happy because now he can stop wearing condoms. So then she walks down the aisle and her stomach starts messing up as they're doing the wedding, the vows and stuff. and she runs over and throws up, and Kieran goes over and he's like, we might have to talk to the doctor about you getting those pills. And now Rad is looking like, wait a minute, what's going on? What's wrong with you? And she looks at Kieran, is like, what do you know about the pills? He said, well, you said when you were pregnant with Lyric that it got so bad you couldn't work, you couldn't do anything. So Rad is like, oh my gosh, like, you're pregnant. And so he's ecstatic. He believes it's going to be his this time. So I guess the way it works, the rest, like Asher, Rad, and Callum, would fuck her raw because they're trying to get pregnant. But since Kieran already has a kid, that gives them the opportunity to do it. So whoever's kid this is, then the two of them will wear condoms, and then the other two who haven't had one, and they'll keep doing that until, I guess, everyone has a kid. Which I get. That way everyone sees themselves, but they all treat the kids as their own. It's not like, oh, I treat this one better. Like, it's like they're four dads. So then we find out the order that they come in. So it was Lyric first, then Aria, who I think was Rad's, then Alana, and then Maya. So I'm thinking it's Asher and then Callum, maybe. But so they wound up having four kids. And that's how it ends. What did you all think? I really liked this. It was long, but I liked it. It really was a really good series. And my hate for the Veritas is just, it's so real. I just felt like, to have all the access to all this high end, high tech stuff, it was just like this guy was able to do these simple things and just railroad right over them. And it pissed me off. Donovan Drake is what we call a true psychopath, and he was truly obsessed with that girl. And the crazy part was, he had her, and then based on what his father wanted for him, he let her go. But he never really let her go because she was still hooking up with him for a period of time until she got back, until she got with the guys. But it was like, it was just this obsession he had with her that was ridiculous. You should never feel that much for someone. I'm sorry. You just shouldn't. To the point to where you're committing crimes? No. No, 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 no. But what did you all think? Drop down in the comment section and let me know. Make sure you like and subscribe and share. And as always, I truly do thank you all for your support, and thank you for tuning in to the Always Reading Book Club.